Hi, I'm Joshua Hayward, Breath of Life School here in Yellow Springs, Ohio. Well, thanks for joining us today, and this is going to be the fourth session of the continuing series. It's an astro-informative series that we're calling America, Who the Bleep Are We? And today we're going to sort of summarize, and I would suggest going back and watching the other three videos. This is, like I said, the fourth. And I want to try to bring this together in a practical way to where we have some takeaways that we can look at. Here's America, here's what's going on, here's some of the deeper meaning behind it that I've been discussing so far. I'm going to continue with that today. And then, so what can we do with that? And what can we, and especially as we enter the fall season, moving towards the election and things like that, what do we need to be aware of, and how can we look at our lives, and are there actions that we can take? How can we reframe our perceptions around this? And that's kind of what I wanted to put out here for this, because we need to see who we are and make really clear decisions about where we're going right now. So to back up and to go through some summary, I was looking at the wounded healer of the United States or the Chiron, which is called the wounded healer, in the sign of Aries at 20 degrees in the 4th house of the United States natal or birth chart, as an important thing. Also with on the nadir, the cusp of that house, Aries being there too. All right, so two Aries things that are very strong. The sign of I am. Also, we looked at our past history as being a continuation or reincarnation of Rome, and the United States Pluto being conjunct the south node of the moon of the United States chart in the 2nd house in Capricorn, and how that is being transited by the now notorious Pluto-Saturn conjunction, which, as everyone can see, is really changing the world as we know it right now, and specifically very tremendously focusing on the United States as it goes into what we call Pluto return. Okay, this is an important thing, and now what we will be discussing in just a couple minutes, that Pluto and Saturn stationing and going direct at the end of September and the beginning of October as a major factor in what's going on. I'll be talking about that today, and so how we need to be aware of that as the next phase of this huge planetary archetypal and totally paradigmic change that we're undergoing here. So that stuff is important. I also mentioned the moon of the United States at 27 Aquarius in the 3rd house, and how we're really supposed to be that's the house of speech, and Aquarius has to do with freedom and how we need to be a free speech zone here, and we are. Perhaps we've abused that a little bit recently. Also, how we have Neptune at the top of the chart with Lilith, talking about how we need to be a place that's healing for people who move in. And it reminiscent of the torch being held by the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired and your poor. And how we are a nation of immigrants. And that's who we actually are. and how Neptune is opposing that right now. This was discussed in the other videos too, and how we're in not only an economic and government type of crisis, we're also in a crisis about who we are as warriors and that. But here's this other thing: who are we spiritually now? And to really get back in touch with our spiritual roots. This is this is the bulk of what has been discussed in the other 3 videos. So moving into what can we take away, and how can we really look at ourselves today, individually, as a nation, small communities, things like that. What are the takeaways? What can we do? How can we reframe our perceptions is a really important thing. Because we are actually human beings, not human doings. Okay? And so, who are we actually, and our perceptions are what shape our consciousness and how we perceive who we are. Okay, so this is another incredibly important thing about what I want to discuss in our takeaways right now, of how we can proceed as the fall and the election comes about and moving into the holidays. Then we'll be in another whole phase than where we were coming out into the spring, into the summer. Now here we are at the end of high summer and moving into the dog days and moving into the fall. All right, so there are different like waves of things that are happening, and this one wave is ending, and then as we move into the fall, think about it as another wave of saying, all right, we've comprehended, we've seen these things, well, what do we do? How do we move forward? And that's what the fall is about. And I really strongly advise voting. This is a real great way that we can, even though there are so many problems with elections and stuff like that, even if we vote and we vote from our heart, it's kind of a new thing for me to say in a way, because you guys who don't really know me, I'm very optimistic, but I'm kind of cynical too in some ways, you know, and I've seen a lot of stuff around voting, but voting has an energy to it too, all right? So we need to stand up for who we are by voting. That's an important thing. But what else can we do? We can start to reframe our thinking about who we are as the sacred warrior. The sacred warrior is a warrior that fights for love and it fights for truth. And there was a purity to our revolution, our right to exist and to be, which we have really lost sight of that stuff. We're warring with one another. So we need to stop that as we move into the fall. Easier said than done. But I do want to address that. As Jupiter and Saturn do station and move forward, we're going to move into a time of crisis that's even much more amplified than what we've seen before. And we're going to see a civil war begin to begin to develop in earnest. We're going to see some shit that we've never seen before as Americans within our country. And there's going to be a big option for some incredibly strong conflict that can be seriously wounding. What we can do as individuals is to begin to step out of that and to become less violent and move into a higher frequency of who we are. We're being called to up the bar as to who we are. One way to do that is to stop worrying what our neighbor or somebody who has a different point of view than us, to stop blaming and shaming or seeing them as wrong, and to move into our own integrity and our own rightness. We're looking now, so let's look at it as if we were looking in the cosmic mirror, okay? And this is so important. We see all that conflict. What does that mirror back to us? We see lack of accountability. We see things going away and deserting us, and we're in tremendous grief of the loss of things, such as sports, for instance, which is actually disappearing. A lot of us who actually are uplifted by sports and appreciate that, you know, we're going through a big loss of that. Okay, so we're experiencing grief and loss on a tremendous level, and that's more likely to energize us towards blame, towards blaming somebody else, towards being angry and acting out. And what if the cosmic mirror is just reflecting to us that we need to let go of our losses and move into something else? Raising the bar that we need to be more creative and more accountable in our lives. This is what we can do as individuals, especially. Rather than making somebody wrong who's different from us. And that goes both ways, towards left and right, bottom, top, however you want to look at it, you know. We're all human beings. Instead of making other people wrong, we need to make ourselves more acceptable and right to us. When we see reflections in the cosmic mirror that really stir us up, they're charged with energy. That means there's something there for us. If we don't have any feelings of reaction, then those reflections they're not as powerful for us. We don't need to deal with them quite as much. So what we need to look at is the stuff that's really getting under our skin. And rather than going outside ourselves and blaming other people, we can be more accountable. We want accountability in the government, you know? And so why not proclaim, each one of us, the United Republic of Joshua, or of Kathleen, or of whatever. What's your name? Okay. Whatever your name is, why not, like, let's take care of you, and let's make you into your own republic. I said something on Facebook, I think I'm voting for me, you know, and to be president of my world, you know. And so when you do that, there's a beautiful tone to that. You step away from blame and shame and anger and all that stuff. Let's just get better at who we are. Let's create new things to do. So let's move forward with that. We've got a lot of possibility of violent conflict coming up. For those of us that are, you know, say, for those of you who are watching these videos, or those of us who are involved in being light workers that want to make the planet better, let's get better at that. Let's do that. But let's also have compassion for our losses and the grief that we're experiencing, for our lives that we have lost the way those are. That's not going to come back. But what if this is so exciting and we can create something different? What if we're moving into the age of Aquarius, to where there is equality? Well, if you're going to have equality, then you're going to have integrity and accountability. And so that's what our job is right now. That's the thing that we can take away. So let's be warriors of spirit. Let's be warriors of the truth of who we are, without projecting all this stuff on somebody else. They can only be who they are. That's their job. It's not ours. All right, so also, you know, we're at a great spiritual challenge in this country about equality and rights and the ability to speak, but the ability to be tolerant of other people who are different from us. You know, have a different religion, have a different color, what have you. This is a nation by not just what we said in the Constitution, but by that time and that birth chart that we have. It definitely and very specifically says we are the country that people can come to and be safe and to be healed. That's who we are, so let's become that. And let's have that be who the bleep we actually are. All right? Let's be that country. I want to be that country. I want to be my sovereign person myself. I want other people to have that idea of sovereignty of themselves. And I want to have that notion of sovereignty be so strong that it grows, and when that 100th monkey kicks in, you know, we get this quantum leap of growth. And this can really happen. And so that's what the takeaway for this series is that we're recreating ourselves as Americans. We're recreating ourselves as a country. I am very, not only hopeful, but very excited about this. And if we move into that excitement, that can spread. And so let's do that. And let's meet what is going to come up this fall and this winter, which could be some of the most hectic stuff that we have seen in so long. If we bring that more enlightened presence, really strong spiritual presence in our lives, then we can create a new America. So I want to leave you with that. And we will continue at Breath of Life here to really put out a lot of really important content, uplifting and very integrity-filled content. And we're going to be offering some things in the future here too. We've got a free Zoom meditation class that we'll be talking about really soon. I just wanted to give a little teaser for that. And so if you're enjoying this and you're finding this content compelling, please subscribe to the channel. If you feel like it, it's a good thing. Hit the like button. It won't kill you. It might actually be fun. And so thanks for joining us once again today. I'm Joshua Hayward once again, bidding you an uplifting rest of the whole rest of 2020. I'm still trying to live in the other century, right? But no, let's update it. Let's move into this century. Yeah, thanks for joining, and have a fantastic rest of 2020.